What's up, you guys? Welcome to the Christmas Day edition of NBA 3-Ball presented by Establish the Run. I'm your host, Mike Gallagher. Getting ready to talk the 5 games on the slate. 10 minutes should be a blast. I would encourage you to check out the Establish the Show that's free today if you're not a subscriber. It's so good. Dink and Wiggins crush it like they always do, so definitely give that a glance. And let's hop into the news right away. And it's Jimmy Butler. He is questionable with a right ankle sprain. He sprained his right ankle on Wednesday in the second quarter, was able to play through it, was a little gimpy, didn't look like himself in the first half, looked a little better late, obviously had the big steals numbers. But this is noteworthy. This is the same right ankle he hurt back in the bubble, also hurt it in January, hurt it a couple times earlier in his career, so you hate to see these recurring ankle injuries be a thing. Jimmy, so if we could think about him not playing, lots to digest. First of all, he didn't really play any power forward. He played 0.8 minutes as the lone small forward power forward, which was kind of a storyline coming into camp. Didn't happen. Mo Harkless also played almost exclusively with Butler. He played 22.4 of his 22.7 minutes. So not having Butler could affect Harkless because we see that Spo wants to play Harkless next to Butler. So really the easy part of this equation is after we talk about who starts if Butler's out, would be Hero and Bam would crush. Per 36 without Dragic and Jimmy, Bam was 16, 11, and 8. Hero was 21, 7, and 4. We're assuming Dragic comes off the bench regardless because Spo had said it's a luxury for him to come off the bench. So, big one to watch. And then also the starting part, again, Zion Williamson, maybe you go big. Maybe do you throw Precious Achiuwa out there right away at him? He was the backup 4, somewhat surprisingly, in the opener. So, maybe he gets the call. It makes sense if to kind of throw him in the deep end to put a big body in front of him. We know Spoelstra likes his second unit to keep Kelly Olynyk, Andre Iguodala, and those guys kind of together. So something to keep an eye on. Maybe KZ Okpala comes off the bench too, or gets in the mix. We saw him light it up, and Spoelstra needed more time. The Warriors will not have Draymond Green again for the second straight game. He did practice, so he's really close. But we should see Eric Paschall start again, despite a really discouraging effort against the Nets in the opener. Didn't even start the third quarter. That honor went to Juan Toscano-Anderson, the native Bay Area guy. And another note for the rotation is we saw Michael Mulder earn playing times. Steve Kerr had said that he earned it, and he's going to be rewarded for playing well. So he's someone to keep an eye on in this rotation, possibly over Jordan Poole. Bazemore was kind of hit or miss, so he's a little bit vulnerable. But really, the big takeaway here is Steph Curry is going to be chucking. We saw his touch time spike. We saw his potential assist spike to 17, 10 assists. So he's going to have an alpha role here. And, the Bucks don't give up a lot of threes, or do give up a lot of threes, so he could be in a really good spot. Marcus Morris out again, so we'll see Nick Batum start. Morris, tried to warn you guys a few episodes ago that he's had knee soreness every year since 2017, so he could miss even more time. We saw Batum, again, pick up his role, 28 minutes, 6 assists, looked pretty comfortable out there in a kind of a tougher matchup. He gets a much easier one today, so he's going to be a little bit more popular just today after a pretty solid effort. Other than that, not too much going on. We did see Tyronn Lue talk up Ivica Zubac playing him in the clutch, said he saw him play in the bubble and did well. So not having Morris also helped Zubac a little bit. No basketball to recap, so we're going to hop right into the action for Christmas Day. Kicking it off with the early game with the Pelicans and the Heat. And we're talking some Pelicans here as we roll some Ingram assists because Stan Van Gundy said he liked how Ingram made the simple passes and how he played really well in the blitz. We saw 11 assists, 15 potential assists. So got a little bit lucky, but again, just total domination, kicking the ball out extremely well. 7 assisted threes from Brandon Ingram. He is the initiator of this offense. And pretty much Lonzo Ball, whose shot looks pretty good, is now playing off the ball more. Eric Bledsoe, also a secondary guy. We saw Bledsoe with 10 potential assists and Lonzo just 4. So very noteworthy stuff for this offense. Zion's going to probably have an interesting matchup after a tough one, so he could be better day 2. And moving to the Heat side of things, Spoelstra said that the offense was a first trigger offense, wasn't really looking good, and he mentioned Mo Harkless's defense was active, but his conditioning wasn't there. Really kind of didn't call out Hero, but he mentioned it was Hero. He's kind of saying that Hero needed to be better at finding passers, so maybe we go more into a Bam offense is what I'm expecting here, especially against the Pelicans. So expect some good numbers from Bam. Moving to the Warriors as we roll some Andrew Wiggins, not that one, missed shots. Talked about most of the Warriors in the open, but Andrew Wiggins should get a lot of good looks against the Bucks who allow a lot of threes. And these looks he took were pretty good. It's just he missed them. So expect him to play better. Steph is going to get a big role, as mentioned in the open. And Yeah, we saw James Wiseman play really well. Tough matchup against the Bucks, but we should get a decent amount of Wiseman. Moving to the Celtics Nets, Jason Tatum, my word, career high 39 usage rate in the opener. Had just 21 drives, almost doubled last year. 10 passes out of drives. The Celtics had 66 drives as a team. 11 PNR possessions for Jason Tatum, and you see he just made so many ridiculous hard shots. These shots were not easy against the Bucks, so it is full on alpha Jason Tatum season, expecting big numbers here against a defense that Steve Nash has said is struggling. Jaylen Brown, not to be outdone, had a big scoring game as well. He's driving more. He had 9 passes out of drives, which was tied for second in the NBA behind only Tatum. And yeah, I expect him to have 53 front court touches for Jaylen Brown. So it's clear that they are giving these two young guys the ball. As far as the front court and fifth starter, I think it's going to be Semi Ojeleye. I think that Brad Stevens had said that he went to the Tice, Tristan Thompson front court because the preseason defense wasn't good. That lineup that they used in the starting lineup was bad. It was 125 and change against a lineup that would have put up 129. So I think they got to change it here. But still expect a lot of Jeff Teague, a lot of Marcus Smart. Should be really fun. We got some KD action, got a little Kyrie revenge, and we saw Steve Nash say that he wants to kind of ramp up Durant and get him ready for 3 to 4 games a week. So maybe he gets a little more playing time, 16 first half minutes from him. And, he didn't really get too aggressive, didn't really make his catch and shoot shots. So I don't think we really saw peak KD from an offensive standpoint. Obviously great, so I think he can play even better. Kyrie's going to get a lot of Marcus Smart, and then really Karis LeVert. I mean, what a role for him off the bench. He has, in preseason and in the regular season, he has a 41 usage rate in his minutes away from Kyrie, going off a 31-minute sample, and he's getting overlap. He's getting 8 minutes with Kyrie when there was garbage time, so he'll play more late too, so Karis can get minutes. Going to the Mavs depth chart here to talk a little Luka Doncic and his bad game, 32, 8, and 5. He had 25 points off drives, 25 of his 32, after his league-high 12.9. He didn't have anywhere close to having it with Mikal Bridges and the Suns defending him pretty well. And he gets, he hasn't had great numbers against the Lakers. Perimeter guys are going to guard him, but that's okay. Still had 23 drives, just huge, huge numbers. 8.7 touch time, led the NBA there. It's just going to be total Luka crush. He did have a little bit of a minor injury, but he said he just got kicked. It wasn't an ankle twist, which is good news. So he should be full go. We saw Dwight Powell get his minutes cut down to just 18. Willie Cauley-Stein got talked up a little bit after as well, and we saw Dorian Finney-Smith play pretty big minutes. But we know Josh Richardson's going to chuck a lot. He's going to all catch and shoot all day. He's going to play a ton. He's going to have to be very important in this game too. So him and Tim Hardaway Jr. should get a lot of looks as Luka gets a lot of attention. Lakers, imagine any Laker gift you want. The guy with the chain, the guys with the glasses, but we're talking Lakers. And Dennis Schroeder was kind of the surprise. He had a really good stat line. Vogel talked about him making a big impact, getting into the paint. He said that was his big surprise when he was watching tape. Had a pretty good line of the 14 and 12 boards. Of those 12 boards, only one of them was contested, so a lot of luck there for Schroeder. 8 assists as well. He had 9 passes out of drives, which is tied for second, which Jaylen Brown behind Jason Tatum. So Schroeder looks pretty good. He talked about him being kind of a complementary piece to help take pressure off LeBron James as he takes his minutes down. And Anthony Davis also got 14 minutes away from LeBron. Anthony Davis without LeBron last year was a monster, 32 per 36, just total stud. So that's good. He had 6 minutes without Schroeder and James. So if that continues where he gets, close to 10 minutes even 5, that's going to do wonders for his per minute output. But yeah, we'll see them. He talked about playing Marcus Gasol more in the high post. He had foul trouble. He definitely wanted to play Marcus Gasol more, and he called Montrezl Harrell a junkyard dog, and his minutes got inflated as well. Sounds like they really want to play straight center after we saw AD play close to a third of his minutes last year as the 5. So the two bigs should be able to find minutes. Unfortunately, not too much of preseason darling Taylor Horton-Tucker with just 11 minutes in the first game. Moving to the Clippers, and Paul George was really the hero of the first game with his 33 points and got a lot of comments from Ty Lue after the game saying that he wanted to be aggressive, especially in the second half. He did stagger Paul George away from Kawhi, which is great news. He had 13 minutes away from him, crushed in that time, crushed last year. We put up 17 points in those 13 minutes, and then last year, per 36 without Kawhi, it was 31, 8, and 5. Elite efficiency. So Paul George looks like he's healthy, and he looks like he's ready to prove people wrong after he got roasted. Kawhi, he's going to get a good matchup here because no more Jeremy Grant, no Torrey Craig, Michael Porter Jr., they tried to hide him. They had to put him on him more often. So Kawhi still got 19 drives in the first game. He is going to be really busy, and I think he's going to have a pretty big game in this one without very much else going on. I mentioned Ivan Zubac is okay playing in the clutch per time on loose. So Zubac in a pretty good matchup against Joker could have a pretty good game as well. No revenge game for JaMychal Green. He is out, so we'll see a lot of minutes out of Paul Millsap for the Nuggets. PJ Dozier is going to be behind him a little bit. He was called a South Carolina Army knife by Mike Malone, Swiss Army knife playoff. And yeah, really starting with Jamal Murray was just bad. Foul trouble, couldn't get in a rhythm, and I expect him to bounce back. He was just so good in the bubble last year, especially against this team. Meanwhile, the Joker, Jokic, just monster, 29, 15, 14, 20 potential assists, 6.2 minutes of touch time is way high for him, even with the overtime factored into it. Just 3.9 last year, 26 rebounding chances, good usage. Expect a pretty good game from those two guys to carry the offensive load. Michael Porter Jr. also should be really busy, and Malone really stressed rebounding. Porter Jr. was in Paris with the rebounding effort, but Will Barton's minutes will come down a little bit after we saw Jamal Murray get in foul trouble too. So that is going to do it. You guys enjoy this Christmas slate. Thanks so much. Catch you next time.